This is Chip Maxwell, and you're listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. It's Husker season kickoff, and the team shares game day predictions along with some personal football plans for the year. Then the conversation shifts to the economy, covering government intervention in private companies, the fallout of China's real estate giant Evergrande, and a surprising twist in the housing market where brand new homes are now selling for less than existing ones. Well, leading the news around these parts this week, David, the Big Red season is opening up. We are now a major sponsor of Nebraska football. Now, it's a little bit of a risky business here because we're recording the show before the game is actually played on Thursday night. Are you willing to go out on a limb, David, and make a prediction?
27-17 Husker victory.
I'll take that.
We give up the 17, a late touchdown, unfortunately, or would have been by a wider margin. There's my prediction.
I'll take that. How about for the season? How do you see the season?
I'm feeling pretty good, but I've learned not to get too overzealous. So I'm going with a solid 9-3 season.
I'll take the 10-win Kool-Aid position.
I think we win. We've got 3 or 4 pretty tough games in reality. I think we lose one of those. But we win more than people think on some of those. But I think, of course, we end up losing a game we never should have lost.
Exactly.
Because that kind of has been our history since I've been here 8 years in Nebraska. Yeah. We always seem to just let down. Now, the great news is if I study data, right? That's what we do for a living. We analyze data. Yes. Matt Rule's third year.
The data says it's going to happen.
Data says it's going to be pretty strong, and he's gotten double digits at the third year of every location. So perhaps your 10 wins is right on the money, but
Michigan, USC, Penn State. Those are 3 tough games, but I see us losing only one of those. But then, as you say, we'll probably lose one. That Friday night game at Minnesota worries me. Iowa, I'm sorry.
And Minnesota, let's frankly, they have had our number for quite a while now. Yes, he's definitely dialed it in here.
Iowa, I'm sorry, even if we're 11-0, if we lose the Iowa game, Matt Rule should be fired on the spot, on the field that day. I'm sorry, you just cannot lose to Iowa anymore.
I'm excited because I'm going to be attending more games this season than ever before.
Oh, yeah, good.
I will be at the Kansas City game
you've been a
in Arrowhead.
Ticket holder for several years now.
Yeah, so I'll do all the home games, plus I'm going to Arrowhead, and I am going, one of the advisors that we coach through our mastermind has invited me and one of our other advisors, Alex Murray, to the Penn State game. So I'll be traveling in November, and I will be there for the Penn State game.
I'd love to see a game there. It'll be loud, raucous. It'll be a rough environment, but I'd love to see a game in Happy Valley.
He just requested we don't wear the candy stripe, overalls. I was like, well, I think we can probably pull some out.
We'll probably have some Retire Smart gear with emblazoned with Husker
looking
logos.
Forward to the college football. Now, speaking of college football, we had one of our interns had a great summer with us, who's an Iowa State kid. He's going over there, and Iowa State just pulled off the Aer Lingus, one in Ireland, and to kind of kick off the college season.
That was an exciting finish.
That was actually a really good game.
Yeah,
and
that fourth quarter was wild.
That was well played.
Yeah.
They beat K-State, and so one of the guys that coaches is a K-State alum, actually played for K-State and Bill Schneider back in the day. So anyway, it's just great. It's exciting. You look at your face, how excited you are. I mean, you claw your way to get into the studio. You were so excited. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll know what I mean.
Just getting revved up for the season, banging my head against the wall. Yeah. It was a great game. I still have some post-traumatic stress disorder from that trip a few years ago to Dublin. My kids paid for it, and I still felt like I got ripped off.
Well, I'm really excited. I've got my nephew, who's a general contractor out of Florida, coming up for the home opener against Akron. So he's flying up next week to come to his first Husker game.
Nice.
So that should be an exciting event for him.
Well, it feels like it's going to be fun again. I just want it to be fun again. All right. Into the news we go, David. Oh, boy, did you, speaking of red flag, you red flagged this one. You said, wrong. That was the subject line. The headline from CNBC is, U.S. government takes 10% stake in Intel as Trump expands control over private sector. I thought I was in a time warp. This sounds like Obamacare or taking over General Motors. What's going on here?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but I am not copacetic with it. I am not happy about this at all, because what this opens the door, we talk about the government should not be the one trying to pick winners and losers. Now, I'm also, let's be clear here, I'm a huge advocate of us starting a U.S. sovereign wealth fund. But we should not be picking winner losers. We should be investing in all the companies in the S&P 500 through the index, not to the companies directly. And that could be building. So we should take 1 or 2% of our revenue every year and put it into an investment that grows. And history has proven it will grow faster than the interest we're paying on our debt. And at some point we'll get to equilibrium and we could literally wipe out our debt. But taking an individual position in one particular company, and this is a company that is mismanaged. Let me tell you, Grinnell College, Buffett, of course, went there over in Iowa, but the founder of Intel, that's where he's from, a small college in Iowa. They've produced a ton of great folks. This was once upon a time a storied company for America, but it's been mismanaged to the gills and has been crushed. It's been a horrible performer, and they're horribly managed. I'm sorry. It's a terrible company the way it's run if you just look at the competitors in its field. So, of course, this is just Trump being Trump. And again, we talk about it all the time. People think, oh, you love Trump. No, I don't. I like certain policies, right? And this is one I hate because it opens the door for a future president to do something, as well. Again, there's ways to solve this, but this is an absolute terrible move by the federal government, and I hope people fight it. I hope Congress fights it. You should get Congress to agree how we may invest in the private sector, and I have no problem if it's done in a way that is not picking sides, right? And there's lots of ways we can do that. If you reshore jobs in America, the government will buy 1% of your company. I mean, in other words, you could actually tie this to the economic benefit you are trying to create, but this is not a good thing.
The president is quoted in this story as saying, the United States paid nothing for these shares. Now they're valued at $11 billion. What does he mean by that?
That's smoke and mirrors. We paid for them. 100% paid for the value of those shares. And what if they go down 50% because the management has not been on top, right? And there's problems with this management, just so you know, linking, giving data and things to the Chinese Communist government, just so you know, there's stories on that. So again, this has so many problems within it to me, and I'm not happy about it at all.
I guess it was funds approved from other grants, but it's still taxpayer money. I mean, we're still paying for this. So, all right, we'll have to keep a close eye.
There's no free lunch.
We'll have to keep a close eye on that one. Speaking of keeping an eye on something, this is something we've talked about over the last 2 or 3 years, David, this Evergrande, this real estate developer in China. CNBC headline, Evergrande's $50 billion rise and fall leaves scars on China's property sector. So I guess this is the summary now of the Evergrande saga.
Well, this is my point. Conclusion. China owns a piece of every company created in China, right? And we just talked about the Intel. This is the ramifications. They will help get companies started, but then if the company is mismanaged or things get out of control, leverage, etc., and that's what happened in the Chinese real estate market. When it collapses, who takes it on the chin?
You're left holding the bag.
The government, right? Yeah. And the Chinese government lost, and this says $50 billion. It's hundreds of billions of dollars. We've talked about this story for the last 3 years, Chip. I brought this up, and now it's collapsed. It's delisted. The company is out, bankrupt, defunct, completely gone.
The story says more than $300 billion in debt.
Yeah. And so who covers all that, right? So the government just has to print money. In this case, it's China's government, but that's the same thing that could potentially happen here. And if we go crazy with the printing presses, which sadly I think is coming again, right, with what I read the tea leaves, that will create long-term problems with inflation, et cetera. Unfortunately, we are in such a partisan environment that one party wants to run something they think is a good idea, and the other party's all against it, and then it'll swap, right? And they'll do it again. Tell your congressmen, tell your elected officials, the government should shrink itself and get out of the way, and then our economy can grow. Free markets work, and I think I sent you a story we might cover later on Argentina that proves just that.
Javier Milei, that is indeed in our lineup of stories. Let's see if we can squeeze this one in, David. Well, this is a chaser because you brought this up last week, new homes being cheaper than existing homes, and there's additional data proving that point.
Yeah, so for those of you watching on YouTube, we actually have a chart or a graphic on the screen showing you that basically existing houses, the median is somewhere around $415,000 or so that people are listing to sell. New homes, Chip, are listed about $409,000. So for the first time in history, new homes are listed for cheaper than existing homes. And you and I just talked about this last week, right? A new home, new warranties, brand new construction, typically it gets a premium 5 to 10% more than existing home. But then when you take into the incentives, these large builders that Warren Buffett just took a massive stake in, and here we're referencing Lennar Homes, After incentives, that's buy down of the mortgage if you use their mortgage and title company, additional upgrades to the home they're going to give you for free because they're trying to blow out their inventory. The price is really effectively about $350,000. So you're talking about a $60,000 to $70,000 gap on a $400,000 price home. That's 25%. Who is going to buy a new home or buy an existing home down the street if they can go 2 streets over and there's a new neighborhood and get $70,000 off essentially the same product? Right. So if you're out there, and I actually had a friend of mine who is a client that owns a couple homes, and he was listening to the show. Should I drop my price or should I hold them? I was like, well, giddy up. If I were you, if you want to sell them, I would price them extremely aggressive right now. I mean, I would get very aggressive. And then we explain there's carrying costs. If you want to hang on to the house, put a renter in it, that's fine. But if you're not going to put a renter in it, let's say your carry cost is $2,000 a month and you decide to hold on the house for another 2 years, that's $48,000. So would you have been better off just to cut the price $30,000 and get it sold today? And again, real estate professional, which my wife was, for many years, competent realtors should be telling people the right pricing, not just to get the listing. They should tell you, look, it won't move at this price, and don't take the listing is my encouragement. If you're a professional realtor, don't take a listing if you're not going to have it priced to sell in the first 30 to 60 days, because we're just going to have a gluttony come to market, and you're going to see in certain markets, which I own property in, like Florida and Texas, we're going to see prices drop double digits.
Thank you for listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. If you want to learn how to generate lifetime income, reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, visit retiresmartpodcast.com. And make sure to subscribe to keep up with new episodes every week. The University of Nebraska and University of Nebraska Athletics, also known as Nebraska Cornhuskers, are not clients of Smart Wealth LLC nor Retire Smart LLC. Playfly Sports Properties, on behalf of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, was compensated for this endorsement, as such term is defined under SEC Rule 206, subsection 4-1. For further information about this sponsorship and the compensation details, visit retiresmartnow.com and click on the Sponsorships tab.